another What's Up Wednesday. Today, thanks for joining me by the way. Sorry we had a bit of a break last week, but we had some health issues. Back on track now. Today I want to share with you how to do a mixed media card. Yep, mixed media. It's exactly what it says. It's a mix-up of all different medias. So we're using stamping, embossing pastes. We're going to do a bit of painting. We're going to do heat embossing, and we're going to do some gold leafing. And the card that we're going to do, first of all, it's going to start out with a blank piece of white cardstock, and it's going to turn into this. Woo-hoo! How awesome is that? I was really pleased with this. So I actually did it in another colour as well. For those of you who don't like the sepia tones, I did it in a blue and silver. So mixed media, you can use any colours. These are just the two that I chose. So let's get started. First piece of a cardstock, which I've got a bit of a fluff on there. I'm using pecan pie and a blending brush, and what we're going to do is we're just going to blend out the white. Let's get rid of that white. And you might say, well, why didn't you use a piece of pecan pie? Because that would be boring and that's no fun. We're going to use white and we're going to turn it into pecan pie. And plus, excuse me, this is going to give us a bit of texture looking. It's not going to be the one colour, it's going to be tones from white all the way through to the solid pecan pie. So that's all we're going to do, is we're just going to blend it just to get that starkness out of it. Some people might want to blend it more than others. That's enough for me. So that's one layer, and mixed media is all about layering up. So using all your different medias and layering up your card. So that's one lot of ink. Let's do some stamping. So I've got this stamp from Gorgeously Made. Great little background stamp. It's got some text on it. Don't know what it says, but that's okay. We don't need to know what it says. We just like the idea that it's text. Now I would suggest you use your Stays On ink for this, because we will be using other mediums and we don't want it to run. So we use a permanent ink. And I'm just going to stamp off on my silicone mat here and randomly stamp over, not filling up the whole card, and just doing it in different depths. So if you can see that, some are darker than others. So I think I might need another bit of light on here. Hang on, let's see what I can come up. There we go. How's that? Okay. So that's the second layer. Wonder how many layers we can get up to. So I'm going to have to clean that with my Stays On cleaner, which I'll just give a bit of a rub over. And a baby white. Now when I'm using Stays On, just as a little hint, I clean it with the Stays On cleaner, I wipe it with a baby wipe, and then I also still clean it with my the Stampin' Spritz in your on your mat, and give it a good clean. Okay, good as new, good as new. Okay, so we've cleaned that. So we've got our ink, we've got our stamp. Let's use a bit of embossing paste. Woo-woo. So the white embossing paste, I'm taking some of that with a spatula, which I have out. Now this, don't forget, when you're using embossing paste, keep your a little tub of soapy water near you so you can put your material straight in there, because once this is on a stencil or on here and if it goes hard, you're not going to get it off. So I just want about, I think that's about half a teaspoon, and 1 drop of your pecan pie re-inker, and do a little bit of a mix. Ooh. So all the colours, oh, excuse me, I've got this frog in my throat, are blending together. So we've just got the same, we've got the ink, the pecan pie ink, and we've got the pecan pie re-inker, but you'll see it's not all the same. sort of colour. It's different tones of that pecan pie. I'm going to take one of these masks, the stencils from the decorative mask. Not going to tape it down, just going to lie it on top, and I'm going to spread some of this embossing paste diagonally down. There, doesn't matter, you can do it all over if you want, but I just want another layer of texture to come through on the card. Okay, just like icing a cake. Haven't done that for a long time. There we go. Oh, got a bit on my desk. Okay, I'm putting that straight into my soapy water, and I'm just going to put that aside to dry. So while that's drying, I just wanted to show you what I've done. So these are my little elements that I've got. So I've taken a piece of the pecan pie, I've run it through the type-worn 3D embossing folder, and then I've just got my, and I'll show you how I did it, paintbrush, yep, paintbrush, and I got my craft re-inker, your white ink, on a little silicone mat. And just a few drops, and then I did have some water here. Excuse me while I go and get some water just over here. Okay, so I'm just going to spritz a little bit of water in that and make that into like a watery paint. Okay, and then all I've done is just run streaks down the page. Okay, just gives it a little bit more something different than your just plain cardstock. Okay, so I'll put that over there. So, and then I've just used a couple of circle punches, and I've done the small one first. These ones aren't available currently at Stampin' Up. I think we've only got a large one available, but I think everybody's got circle punches. If you don't have circle punches, use a die, and you don't have to use circles. You can use any shape you want, but if you've got a circle one, there's just a little tip. There's another little circle. But if you take your next size up and just put it around that and create a ring, you get your little rings. And I've done that in the gold, the distressed gold, and they're my little elements that I'm going to use on the card front. So you see I've got black and I've got the gold and I've got this as well, and I've just, you know, arranged them around. So that's what that is. So while this is drying, that's what I was doing. Okay, I actually got my heat gun on that and dried that a bit, so it's all ready to go. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm just going to distress the edges. I do have a distressing tool somewhere and I can't find it. Scissors are fine. So we're just going to go around and we're going to rough up the edges. Okay, all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's created the white edges again. So we're going to go around with the pecan pie and the blending brush, and we're going to darken those edges. Okay, so from white we've a layer of ink, we've stamped with some stays on, we've done embossing paste, we've distressed the edges. Let's see what else we can do. Let's add some circles. I've got this stencil. If you don't have these stencils, that's fine. Punch some holes in a piece of cardstock and use as a stencil. Okay, I'm going to add a bit of white to this. I'm going to bring in my little bit of craft ink that I had earlier and just an old paintbrush. And do you know what? I'm just going to dab that in some holes. And let's have some circles. You don't have to have circles, you can have any shapes you like. Just one I grabbed because I've got circles there. If you don't have, like, I don't think this stencil is current. Stampin' Up! Have some lovely stencils available. The Artistic Mix is really a good set of stencils. But as I said, make your own. Punch some small holes in a piece of cardstock randomly and use that. So, and this is just the craft ink mixed with a little bit of water and an old paintbrush. You can see it's pretty old, and I've been just dabbing that, okay? And that gives another little bit of a layer and texture to the card. So I'm going to put that in my soapy water to wash. And then I think we need to add a bit of gold. Got to have some gold, got to have some bling. So with this one, I used that same mask, and I did heat and stick powder. So let's do that. So this should be fairly dry straight away. So I've cleaned off my dot mask, and what I'm going to do now, I need my Versamark refiller, because I'm going to be using the heat and stick powder. So, because I want to use gold leafing. So to do that, I'm going to take my circles again. I'm just going to take a silicone mat and put some drops of this on. This is the Versamark ink refiller. I think this is my older one. I do have a new one there, but I'll use up this first. Okay. And then you can put this on either way. I used a paintbrush. So I washed this one with my white craft ink. Now I'm not going to put it over the craft ink. I'm going to put it next to it. And I'm going to just dab your Versamark. Make sure you get it through the holes. And that's why I use a brush. You could use a sponge, but I just find with a brush you can push it into the holes. Okay, so not where you had the white, because you just want a bit of difference between your white and this gold. I am going over it a little bit, but not much. Okay, and just a little bit up in this corner. Okay, so just a few little holes there. You don't want a lot of this because you don't want the gold to overtake the rest of it. So we bring in the tray. Okay, I'm going to put that in there. The heat and stick powder. The only thing I don't like about this is it smells a bit when you heat it up, but at least you know it's working. But this is great for your gold leafing. So this heats up, and you don't heat this as long as what you do with heat embossing powder. This doesn't take long at all to activate. Okay, so I'm just going to flick the excess off and brush this back into my little container. Okay, bit hard to see, but I'm going to take the heat gun to that and heat that up and be back shortly. Okay, so that didn't take long at all to heat up. Now you notice I'm putting a lot of the layers to this side. That's only because I know that I'm going to be putting my embellishments over this side. You can put it all over, you can put it anywhere you like. So I don't know whether you can see that in the light, but you can see the little shiny bits where the gold leafing is going to go. So I'm going to take my little box, look at the size of it, my box of gold leafing. And I did this on purpose because when you open the lid, it usually flies everywhere, and having that depth keeps it in the box, keeps it in its place. So I'm just going to lie this down onto my gold leafing, and I'm going to press it on. I love this stuff. It feels so luxurious, like you're in a pot of gold. And look at this. So then you just take a brush, sponge, whatever you've got, and just rub off the excess. So wherever that heat and stick powder was and was embossed, then that's where your gold is going to stick. Just love this. Look at that. Can you see that? There. Woohoo! Okay, just get the excess off your fingers. It's all coming together now, people. It's all coming together. So we've got the sponging of the ink, we've got the stamping, we've got the embossing paste, we've got the white ink dots, and then we've got gold leafing dots. So what's that, 4 or 5 layers? We're going well. I think it's time we started putting the card together. So I'm going to take my little dots here that I've got. So I've got some black. I've got the ones that I die cut, embossed and then scraped some white ink over them. And I've got the Distress Gold DSP, which is just beautiful. And I've done half circles, half rings. So I'm just going to arrange these. I've got the 2 sizes of the rings, large and small. So you can just arrange these however you want. And we'll put them all together. I did one like that too. That's pretty cool. There's no, any design. If you don't have circles, as I said, use whatever you've got. Don't like to see all these supplies in your craft room go to waste. Use them all up. And look, if they're not Stampin' Up, that's okay. You've got to use what you've got. Okay. So, and I'm kind of thinking another one down there. What do you reckon? And I might put that in there. Okay. Maybe there. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on. I'm going to mount some up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'll speed up the camera because you never know, I might change my mind. Be back shortly. Okay, so there are my embellishments put on. I just need a sentiment. I think the one I've been using is You're a Great Friend. So I might do that. So I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that on black with white embossing powder. So, and then I'm going to use the die that came from this set as well to cut the sentiment out. Okay, so I'll be with you shortly. Right, so I've heat embossed that in white onto black cardstock, and I'm simply going to place that with on Stampin' Dimensionals. And I think I did it just a little bit crooked, but hey, you get the gist. So all we have to do now is mount this onto, you can place this wherever you want. I like it so there's a little bit of the embellishments coming through. So I'm going to mount that onto a piece of black cardstock. And doesn't it make it just makes it pop, doesn't it? Then the card base is going to be another piece of the pecan pie. I think that looks pretty cool. And you know what? It doesn't need anything else. I did have, on this card, I did some white baker's twine, and I'll show you what I did with that. Okay, so my baker's twine, I took a piece, got my blending brush, there might be enough pecan pie on that, and then I've just taken the starkness off the baker's twine with the ink that's left on my brush. And if you want to put more ink on, you can. See, just run it through there a few times. Don't you just love these silicone mats? Oh, I love them. I've got 3 and I use them all the time. They're fantastic. You can do so many things with it, and it just protects your surface so well. And you just put them in a bit of soapy water and wash them. I see mine are well worn. Okay, so that's just getting that starkness of the white off of that twine. You could use black even if you wanted to. I just wanted to show you how to do the baker's twine with the ink. So, okay, cut that one. Then you've got a bow, but it's just a double threaded bow. Okay, and you could put that on top of the black dot there and just trim those ends down. Just use a glue dot. So many uses for glue dots. These are really good for attaching your bows and ribbon and that. So just take one off of there. Go away, you. Attach that. Oh, didn't come off, did it? There we go. There we go. Just fiddle your bow around till you get it the way you want it. Very rustic. And then just glue it all together. And so there's your card. How awesome is that? I'm really happy with this card. And as I said before, you can do it in any colour. I did one in the blue and I did silver. So I used heat embossing, just used the Versamark and then silver heat embossing, silver cardstock, silver foil, and the same sort of, and instead I used Night of Navy to colour the embossing paste. So there you go. Hope you liked today's card. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, all the information, all the supplies, everything over on my blog. Have a look at any of my projects there. Print out any of the how-to guides. Have a fantastic day, and until next week, stay safe, keep on stamping, and bye!